Good evening, welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. Well, it's not our usual thing, but we'd like to make a comment on something that was on the Raffy Tulfo show. And in case you didn't see it, and certainly I would not have seen it had Beth not picked it up on her phone. So the story so far is a Canadian man, 71 years old. He married a young woman, not quite sure the age difference, but it was appreciable. He married her and had been married, apparently reasonably happily, for 3 months, which most would regard as the honeymoon period. Well, the honeymoon period apparently in his case ended rather abruptly, with her disappearing. Now he didn't think that she had become a missing persons. And I think that they had rumours coming back via the Philippine grapevine, which is usually correct, and it turned out that she was actually living with a lady and had, if not a lesbian relationship going, a bisexual relationship going. So this was a very colourful story as it began to unfold. Well, the man did no more than go to Raffy Tulfo with his mother-in-law and ask Mr. Tulfo if he could help to locate his wife and effect a reconciliation. Well, there was, I'm guessing that you can go back and look at this on YouTube, there was an extremely tearful, sobbing, grief-stricken OA in some respects, demonstration by the lady, and she said that she absolutely did not want to go back with him. Now, for his take on it, she had treated him rather disgracefully, but then it turned out that she is saying that she was forced to marry him, and she was forced to marry him by her mother, who had given her a couple of smacks along the way in order to persuade her. All of this was denied, and the husband, which was a puzzle to me, wanted her back. Now, for me, the biggest turn on with any woman is a woman that wants to be with you, as far as the man's viewpoint goes. And the biggest turn off for me is a woman who doesn't want to be with you. And this seems to be, well, it seems to be the way that should be gone. It should be the road most travelled. That if you have become so estranged that the woman or your partner really doesn't want to be with you, then what else is there? What's left? Well, Raffy Tulfo did his best, and he worked very hard at it, and he advised the lady, which surprised me because I thought that it was more a case of trying to help people to come to a decision, and probably we should say that that's what he did. But he said to her that in fact there was a life there which would be extremely beneficial to her if she chose to take it with the husband. Most of the rewards that Raffy told her of and explained to her were all, in my view, materialistic. Now the thing is, a new car is a new car, and boy, when you get a new car, isn't it wonderful? And a nice house is a nice house as well, and when you first move into it, isn't it wonderful? And moving to another country with all the excitement of all that eye candy, you're looking at things which you've never seen before, and talking to people who apparently are very happy to meet you. All of his family would be there. In his case, his family would be there. She would be welcomed. And this is a new marriage. This is only 3 months old, by the way. And it didn't seem to smack of saying what would make you happy? What is it that your heart desires? But eventually she kept saying, I don't want to go to Canada. I want to stay here. I don't want to be with him. I don't love him. Why don't you want to be with him? Because I don't love him. And she was very clear on all of this. And in the end, that's what prevailed. I don't want to go to Canada, and I don't want to be with this man. And all of the questions which would be likely to make her look at things in a different way didn't work. I mean, once you have somebody that's left and is no longer interested in being married to that particular person, I'm video jacked, then what questions can possibly help? Because she was having questions put to her. Well, why did you get married? Well, why did you? And well, maybe are you telling the truth now? Did you tell him the truth then? If you didn't tell him the truth then, how do we know you're telling the truth now? And my shoulder is being bitten by this person who happens to be my wife, and who I definitely don't want to leave.
Yeah, it's a kind of, I think it's both lesson to both sides, like the foreigner and the Filipina, not to rush into marriage, right?
That's right.
Because in the side of foreigner, you should know the Filipina very well, right? And in the side of the Filipina, you should know your husband to be very well.
Yes.
You know, not based on financial or stability, but based here in the heart.
I think so.
You know,
and in fact we are practicing what we preach, and we were together for absolutely hours before we decided that we wanted to be together, didn't we, dear?
Yeah, because financial, what you call that, money can find, but having into a relationship with a person that you don't love, it's very it's gonna be quite a long time, right?
It's going to seem even longer
as far as,
if you don't love
as far
the
as
person.
as far as that questions, the woman, Raffy Tulfo asked the woman, would you want to be with him? I think something like that. And then the woman said, no, I don't want to be in the prison, right? Because
she said, I don't want to be in prison.
I think
it would be like being in a prison.
Yeah, it's just somewhere like it just sounds like that. But because when you don't love that person, it just feel like that, But if you love that person, the one that you spend for the rest of your life, in the morning, you wake up in the morning and you see this person and you said, oh, this person, I love this person. I'm very blessed,
right.
Even
if she's snoring.
You
still love her, don't I, darling?
Even if very snoring and you wake up and snoring and you
she's very, very snoring.
No, you.
Me?
So that's how you are. So that's how I look at on that video, that the Canadian wants to have want to get back her. But if that person that you love go and don't want to come back to you, don't force, because at the end of the day, he will not, he will not be happy with you, and possible what he's doing or what she's doing, he's gonna do it again, right?
Well, the likelihood is that if she was tempted to go back to him with the promise of living in Canada, which for many Filipinos, second perhaps to America is Canada, and maybe she would just use him to go out there. If she's used him already once and quit on him, and then goes to Canada, what's to stop her as soon as she gets her green card? What's to stop her from walking away and finding another lady, as far as we know?
Or possible, when she goes to the Canada, once she got stable, she will leave. That's another thing.
Honey,
the same.
Where were you a moment ago when I said that?
Yeah, the same. So it applies both foreigner and Filipino. Bear in mind. Before you enter into a marriage contract, think it first if he's the one, if she's the one. because it's not like a food that if you don't like, you can throw it out. It's about a
Or
commitment.
even those snails.
Yeah. It's about commitment, and it's about a promise, not just in the law of the land, but also in the law of God, you know. And you should keep that promise, right?
Yes. Yes.
Because it's a secret. Right?
It is. Can I have
Sorry,
my
darling.
Can I have my video back?
Bye-bye, I get mango.
Where was I? Somebody said when you've been video jacked, Terence, there's no knowing where the thing is going to go after that. But we're really talking about how when you come over here as an expat and you meet a lady, there's two very important things that are going on here. There's a dynamic that exists when someone has communicated by text, by video calls and all of that, and they get a sense of what that other person is about. Now, there's no way that we can enter the quicksand area of being scammed, okay? So we're not talking now about whether the person on either side is a scammer. We're talking about two people who are genuinely looking for someone to spend the rest of their life with. Now, when I get letters, I get wonderful. I'm blessed in this way, extraordinarily so. And people write to me and they say that they met the person, and almost as they took his hand, her hand, to say hello at the airport, they knew that it was going to be good. And sometimes it's like that. And sometimes it takes some time in order to reach that. So sometimes people come over here and they have a month and they really find out that everything that they have assumed by their texting, by their emails, by their video calls, looking at pictures, looking at videos, and all of this has been worthwhile and will stand them in good stead. One of our very first supporters who came with us and is still with us found someone in our channel. He's been with us, I think that he was, I don't know, number 100 something, or maybe less even. He's probably going to get on the phone. So just a minute, I told you that I was only 64. But he's been with us for the longest time. And as I've said many times before, what can happen is that as you exchange, as you keep looking at comments, you when they're allowed, when they're enabled, when you look at comments, you start to see what people are like within the character that is expressed in their comments. And what's happened, especially with our friend, he responded or she responded to him, either way, one to the other, and it started off, I imagine, with just, hi, I liked your comment, and it just changed, and they kept on communicating, and now he is here in the Philippines and very happy with his choice. So who knows how life will unfold if you certainly be a thinking person, but if you have faith that there is someone there. It's a very simple thing. I mean, people have made money out of this, about just this thing of saying the secret. It was the secret, wasn't it? And you can have it all. And the basic lesson is that by allowing that something could happen, allows it to happen. It's basically so simple as to be mind-boggling. The important thing from this is actually quantum physics or quantum science of how everything is in a vibration. The entire universe vibrates, and it vibrates at certain frequencies. Everything vibrates in its own frequency, but it all comes together like this, like the dovetail joint, where things actually can entwine if they're allowed to. Now, there are people who have the devil's own job in actually recognizing that the person that they keep rejecting is the ideal person for them. And I'm going to take this opportunity to recommend yet again a book which I think that most people would find helpful. It's by a writer and counselor of human relations, Barbara DeAngelis. So let me say that, Barbara DeAngelis. And she wrote a book called Are You the One for Me? And as a result of counseling hundreds of people and hearing hundreds of stories, she had come to the conclusion that there were actually basic scenarios, and they fall into basic situations which are brought on by the interaction of certain kinds of character. Certain kinds of people attract certain kinds of people. So if you're a person who loves to be dominated, well, guess what kind of person you'll get someone who is very strong and possibly bossy or likes to be in charge, and you may make a perfect relationship. Now, Are You the One for Me goes into the different scenarios, and believe me, I guarantee that you will find yourself in that book. Certainly at various points in my life, in the last, say, 20 years, I've found myself a few times in that book. And knowing how you are supposed to look at things helps you when you look at them. Now, this doesn't mean that Barbara DeAngelis knows everything, because strange though it seems, she had a best friend, a male. And there were a couple of males in her life who were platonic friends. Until one day, one of the platonic friends said to the both of them, her and the other platonic friend, "Oh, for God's sake, why don't you two get a room? Can't you see that you're meant to be with each other?" And they said, "Who, me? What? Him? Her?" And it turned out that that was exactly the case. In other words, no matter how clever you are, no matter how intuitive you are, no matter how clued up and cool you are, the person that could make you happy, the person who you could work with the best in being happy, might be right in front of you. Now, in America, they don't have this in the Philippines, by the way, I don't think, but there's a thing called the friend zone. That is the zone where you become a friend. Now, this brings in that other, I think, Americanism of a window of opportunity. When you meet someone, there's a certain amount of time when, if there's any electricity in the air, you need to make a move. You need to take advantage of that window of opportunity. And you need to declare your intent. And if you don't, the possibility is that you will become a friend. And then, boy, if it's hard to get into the idea of making a play up front when you could lose everything, wait till you get stuck in the friend zone. That's the area of quicksand that you just simply will find it very difficult to get out of. So, I'm recommending that book again. For God's sake, go, and for your sake, go out and buy that book. By the way, she's not my sister, okay? And I don't actually know her. But she certainly has made a few of the ground rules for anyone who is serious about going out and making cool-headed, even though she didn't at that point, okay, cool-headed assessments of who this person is that you're looking at, that she is looking at, that you are looking at, he is looking at. And it helps you to keep a clear head. Now, whenever we've given advice in the past, I always maintain that the easiest time to ask a question without fear of offending and losing it all is up front. So, if you really want to know how many girlfriends or how many boyfriends she's had, the easiest time is right up front. Right up front of, hello, I'm really pleased to see you. How many boyfriends have you had? No, I'm just kidding. But it is the easiest time to ask the questions which might embarrass both you and her or him. You get them out of the way when you're just two people looking at possibilities. So, try that and get the book. I suggest this really sincerely, and I hope that if you go out and get the book, as someone actually once said to me, what's the name of that book you were talking about, because it sounds good and I want to buy it. I went back and I found a title and I said, this is it. And as far as I know, he went out and he bought the book and benefited from it. Well, you can benefit from this if you are one of those people who is talking to Beth and I about finding someone else. And it breaks my heart when people say, can you help me to find my forever? And I have to say, no. But go to the bathroom mirror and look in that mirror, and there you will see the person who can help you. It's you. Thanks for looking in. This is A Foreigner in the Philippines.